So the first step in recognizing DR corners is looking at the CO type. And there are only 5 of these, and the one we're going to start with is the slashes. So that's 2 diagonal corners on each face. Slashes are probably the hardest, but it's good to get that out of the way. First thing you want to do is put a white corner in DFL. It could be yellow, but if you have white on top and you use yellow as the reference, you'll be off by an M2 for centers, unless you modified the alg, but it also doesn't really matter if centers are off if you're doing this for HDR. But we're going to use white, so put a white corner in DFL, and then we look at the top layer and see what color is on the front and back of the white corners. So we have orange and red, which means they're opposite. Then we look at the yellow corners as well, do the same thing, orange, red, these are also opposite. So the only cases that are worth learning for slashes will either be op or both edge, so like it could be orange green, blue orange or something. So in this case we have op, but there are actually 2 op cases as well as 2 edge cases, and to distinguish them we put a white corner above this white corner and see if you can get these 2 colors to match. So put the other white corner there, these do indeed match, and then if the other ones also match over here, then you've got the 3-move case for op. Now this is also op because we have blue, green, red, orange, and these 2 match, but they're still opposite, so it's the other case. So here's an example of edge. We have green, orange, red, green. You want to put a white corner above this white corner. These do not match, and these also do not match. So if they don't match, you want to put it over here instead, but in such a way that these colors are opposite. So orange and blue are not opposite. These are opposite. And these should also be opposite as well. So for the other edge case, these match, these are opposite. And if you have a case that doesn't seem to fit the criteria, or the alg just doesn't work for some reason, it'll be because you have the mirror. So this is edge, this matches, but this is not opposite, which is strange. So do a Y, and now we have the mirror with the white corners on this side instead. Here's the little bar, and here's the opposite thing. So we do the mirror. Now, moving on to the bars CO type. First of all, I like to match the same color bars on the same side, so putting white above white here, yellow above yellow. And there are 4 configurations you can have for these, each side, so the white pieces and the yellow pieces. So the first one I call Y because it's just like a Y perm with 2 opposites and 2 opposites. It'll also be op here and here. You can also have these vertical headlights, which I'm going to call a column. So if you have this and there's nothing matching down here, and you can have a bar, which is where there's headlights on the side as opposed to vertically. So if there's headlights here and nothing here, or it can be solved. So the yellow pieces in this case, there's a bar, there's also a column, but also this is a bar, and you can just see that if you did a U2R2, the yellow face would be a layer. So as an example, here's a bars case, and first I'm going to line up the white bars together, and I'm going to look at the yellow. We have a bar. I know that's confusing because I'm calling the CO case bars as well as the little headlights, but you'll be fine. So we have a bar, and it's not solved because there's nothing here. And for the white side we have Y because there's 2 opposites. So this case would be bar Y, and that is solved like this. Here's another example. We have a white bar here and here, so I'm going to AUF to put the white bars above each other. And we have a column on this side. We also have a column on this side. And both columns are in front, and they could both be in back, in which case you would just rotate. But they could also be here and back here, or here and here. That would be a different case, so this is columns in front, and we solve it like this. That should give you a good idea of how to recognize the bars cases, so I'm going to move on to bar slash. And similar to bars, I put the yellow bar in the bottom left, and we look at the configuration of these 3 yellow corners. So you put a yellow corner above this one, and see if it's either a bar, a column, or if it's both, then I consider it solved. And then you look at these 3 white corners, specifically this color, and this color. So in this case we have red, orange, red, which I would call Y because it's op and then op again. So this case would be solved Y, which is a good case, solved like that. And here's another case with the yellow bar in DL. We have nothing here, but we have a column, and we also have op adj because blue-green is op, and then this is adjacent. So I'd call this case like column op adj. And the only other good case in this set is solved op adj. But remember to try putting both corners above this one, because in this case we have just some case that we don't know, but if you do a U2 AUF, it is now solved op adj, which we do know. So just keep in mind you should try both AUFs. And the same applies to the mirror, so you could have the case from this angle instead, so you just need to try that if you don't get a case over here. Now, the last CO type, aside from solved, which I'm going to skip because it's pretty straightforward, but the last one is 3/4 faces. So you have 3 corners CO'd on each face. And I'm going to split these into type. So on the bottom you're either going to have a 3/4 layer with 2 bars, or you'll have just 1 bar, or you'll have no bars. So we're starting with the 3/4 layer, and the top will either have, looking only at the 3 white corners, the top will have 2 opposite pieces on a side and 2 adjacent. And if the opposites were here instead of here, it would just be the mirror, so you could rotate and do the mirror of the alg. Or it'll have a bar, and again the bar could be over here, but it's just the mirror. Or there'll be a sort of Y-perm with 2 opposites and 2 opposites. So if you have anything else, it's a case not worth learning. But next up is the 3/4 bar. So we just have a bar here and nothing here. And what you want to do is hold the bar on the side and the missing corner in the back. So in this case the bar's on the left, but if it was the mirror, the bar would have to be on the right for the missing corner to also be in the back. Now the easy case for this is when you also have a bar on top. So this is just 3 moves. But you need the bar to be here as opposed to here, because if it was here, it would be a long, terrible case that you shouldn't learn. And you can again have a Y-perm, which is easy enough to recognize, but you can also have op adj, which has 2 different cases. So if you have the missing corner here, put the other missing corner like an R2 away from it, and the op will either be on the side or the back. And that's how you distinguish the 2 cases. Alright, so the 3/4 op adj cases. You want to put the op in front and the missing corner in the back again. And the missing corner can either be here or here, but the op is always in the front, and if this missing corner was here, it would just be the mirror of all the default algs. So there are only actually 2 cases from this set to learn. One of them is op adj, so we have op adj. But like before, we have the missing corner and R2 away from the other one, and the op will either be in the back or the side. So back is the good one, side is a long case not worth learning. And the other case is just a Y-perm. So I think learning them by subset is sort of easier for recognition, but I think it makes more sense to learn them by move count. In that way, it's more similar to square one cube shape, wherein each time you do a move, you're reducing it to just an easier case that you already know. So I think that would make it kind of easy to learn, but I did in fact learn it by subset. But I'm going to put all the cases on the screen in order of move count. I might put them in the description or a doc or something. But if you have any questions, I'll probably answer them as soon as I can. Enjoy learning corners.